Okay, we good to go? Well, it's an exciting time of year. Finally here to have game week, and I know our guys are excited. A lot of work goes into this, and anticipating a real challenge, anticipating a great atmosphere here back at Research Stadium, counting on our home field advantage to show up. You know, obviously this stadium is going to be unbelievable in a year, but we're not going to sit back and wait to have a big time home field advantage and appreciate Beaver Nation coming out, anticipating every seat getting taken for our first one. You know, obviously really fired up on our captains that we announced. Those guys representing our place, player vote, and so to have 6 guys represent us, really looking forward to them taking really control of this team from game one to the postseason. But we start with a real challenge. I got a bunch of respect for the program at Boise State, spent 2 years there, know the tradition and history and the effort they play with. They got a big-time quarterback. There's a bunch of experience. These guys can score points in bunches. Defensively, one of the best defenses year in and year out. Know Coach Avalos well, coached with him for a year, and he's always run a really good defense, especially his time at Oregon and then taking over at Boise State. So we got a bunch of respect for them, know that they're going to present a big-time challenge. And I think it's good. You look at our non-conference slate, I think it's going to get us ready for Pac-12 play because there are 3 big-time opponents starting with Boise State. So with that, questions?
I guess not a big surprise that Chance won the quarterback job. When did you kind of know he was going to be the guy, and how much of a leap did he take from, say, last December to now?
Yeah. I think week 2, 3 at camp, there was he started playing at a really high level. You could see his confidence, his comfort in the scheme, understanding what we're trying to accomplish, being a little bit more accurate, taking care of the football. And I think he had to do that because he was really pushed by Tristan and Ben. Those guys had some really good days, good weeks. Tristan had a really good scrimmage, but the end of the day felt like Chance gives us the best chance to score the most points and eliminate negative plays. And so that's why he won the job.
If you have to go to a backup, do you know who it would be?
We're going to let those guys kind of compete really weekly. I know Tristan has some advantage in experience, but Ben has been coming along, and we want to continue to push that. So I think that'll be a weekly kind of game plan decision, week in and week out.
And then the running back position, do you know, is this going to be a competition this week between Fenwick and Lowe, or do you kind of know who's?
I think both of those guys are going to get carries. Some of it will be dependent on the play getting called and the style. I think both those guys will. I can see the other 3 getting in the mix, but for game 1, the anticipation is that the Fenwick and Trey would be the top 2 ball carriers.
For the team, what does it mean to have a Chance back for a second year, not starting from scratch, and being able to go forward with that instead of having a new face in that role?
Yeah, I think there's some confidence in that offensive side of the ball in Chance, and he's not alone. I mean, the group in front of him, that O-line, they've got a lot of experience. We feel like we got some real veteran experience, continuity on that side of the ball with what's coming back. Majority of those starters have played a lot of football, and so they know what it takes. It's game execution, preparation, timing, consistency. I mean, I think we got a chance to have all that because of the experience coming back.
It's been a while since you coached at Boise State, and obviously, you're past the point of, having recruited the guys there, but the experience that you had at that program, how much does that help in your preparation for this week 1 game?
Well, I know it helps because I know the mentality over there. They're not backing down to anyone, whatever league they're in or whatever stadium they're playing in, and they've proven it through history the last 10 years. Of being able to win big-time games against big-time opponents in tough places. And so I don't know if it helps, but I know the mentality over there that they're coming in anticipating to play really well.
Anthony Gould's role has expanded each season. It looks like he's going to do some more punt returning as well as receiver. How's he doing, and what kind of a role do you think he'll have this year?
Yeah, he's doing really well. Each year he has improved and added to his repertoire. Feel really confident with him being the punt returner. And some of that starts with decision-making, not just all about your explosiveness and what you can do with the ball, making decisions when I'm fair catching, when I'm not fielding it, when I'm fielding it, tough kid, smart. And then on the offensive side, yeah, you're going to see a lot of them. A couple different spots at wideout. I'm going to hand him the ball some like we've done in the past. And he's earned all of that because he continues to get better and better.
And as the season progresses, Pac-12 championship game, two teams from the same division could be in there. Do you like this?
I do. I think at the end of the day, you're going to put the best two teams in conference play in that game, so the most deserving through conference play in that game makes a lot of sense.
Do you think Damian Martinez will play on Saturday?
Yeah, I do. Yep, I can see him, and some on teams, and I can see him getting some carries.
Joe Golden, he's a name that I don't think anybody was talking about on August 3rd, or whenever camp started. Where did he? I guess where did he? I know where he came from, but how did he move himself from, obscurity pretty much
Right.
to maybe starting on Saturday?
The first week he was learning a bunch. Knew he had a physical skill set, long, tall, got some weight to him, strength. But it took him a minute to learn it over the first few practices. But once he kind of started to figure things out, he's in the right spots. He's owning his responsibility at the line of scrimmage. Then you could see that when he got comfortable and he knew what he was doing, he could be a little bit explosive, make some plays in the backfield. We're going to use him a little on special teams. Same way, gave him some early opportunities. He needed to kind of get his feet wet. He's done it. And so he's earned the opportunity to play.
Do you think Alton Julian will get on the field Saturday?
I think Alton will be cleared to play this Saturday, whether he gets on the field or not totally certain. I mean, let's face it, he just missed a lot of time. If we feel like he's ready and cleared, there's a potential, but no guarantee.
Coach, one of the big moves during the offseason was Brandon Kipper to guard
Yeah.
from tackle. Talk about how that's working out, what you think after watching fall practice, and also the guys who were waiting in the wings, the guys who were the backups, how are they coming along?
Yep, the move for Kip, and that was a mutual decision. We talked to him about that. I think he projects more as a guard in the National Football League, and so for him to make that move and get some tape doing it made sense. It allowed Tolley then to enter into the starting lineup, who's a really good right tackle we feel is going to have a big-time career. And so, again, we talk about selfless around here, and so Kip making that move was good for our overall, putting the best five out there. And then, behind those guys, yeah, there's some guys that are continuing to grow and develop, and we're going to need it. And Jim Mahalchek always does a great job. We're going to put the best five out there, and then if a position that needs to be replaced, it's going to be the next guy, not maybe listed at a particular position. But if we can stay healthy at those first five and play to their potential, I think we can be pretty good.
Jake Overman obviously now has a starting job with the tight ends. He's big shoes to fill now that Teagan's not there. What have you liked that he's kind of stepped into this offseason, and how is he going to enhance, the production out of the tight ends this season, hopefully?
Yeah, Jake's been working really hard. He's played a little bit last year, but there's no question Teagan's tough to exactly replace. But Jake, you can trust him. He knows what he's doing. He's going to play really hard, tries to make it physical, has good hands, and so he's a nice complement to Luke when the two of them are on the field.
There's a lot of oars, as you kind of mentioned on Friday, that are listed on here. How did some of those guys react to it? Because a starting job's not easy to come by, but knowing that they potentially could, move into that one slot.
Right. At so many positions, there's a bunch of guys that play, whether they're in the first snap or not, deemed a starter. It almost determines if Coach Linger wants to call a play out of 3 receiver set or he's going to call a 3 tight end set, and they're the starters. Same thing on defense. Those guys are going to rotate. We have different packages depending on what the offense puts on the field. And so I don't see our guys studying this depth chart too closely with the war thing. They know they're going to be in the rotation, and when they go in, they're counted on to execute.
You mentioned Julian, but outside of Ryan Frankie, is there anyone that you expect that will not go for sure this week?
Not totally on this depth chart here. Again, Sione is going to be a few more weeks, and that's why we didn't put him on here. But yeah, outside of that, I think these guys are going.
Jonathan, what constitutes a successful season for you, and do you think you're a Pac-12 championship contender?
I think that for me, always the big goal is to be playing our best football at the end of the year. I know, sometimes you guys think this is coach speak, but the mentality of the process of each week of playing our best and going to work, and we're going to learn a bunch, and especially in game one, about ourselves, and then we got to address flaws. And so if you're doing that and your process is right, you're playing your best ball at the end of the year. I do think we're placed in our program currently, every time we line up on Saturday, we got a chance to win the game. And so if we go about that and play really well week in and week out, championships in the possibility.
This is the healthiest team I think you've taken into a season opener. Some of that's obviously luck, but was there some things maybe you did during the off season to help this along to where you're able to get to this point with very few injuries?
Right. I don't know if our off-season is very similar, our training and where we're going. We did study a decent amount of the science and try to learn, right? Each fall camp of how hard we're going, how to bring them down. Followed that really closely. I do think it was some of our practice habits. I go back to this experience. We got a lot of guys that have been around here and knowing how to practice full speed but taking care of each other. Had a bunch of that going on through fall camp. Fortune, no question. Good luck, no question. But following the science, knowing how to practice, how hard you go, and then bring them down. We're healthy. Now, hopefully that means we're prepared also this Saturday.
I mean, it's no secret you know about the season openers. Oregon State hasn't won one since 2015. Are you making too big of a deal out of they haven't won one of those? I know the games some have been pretty tough, but I mean, is it just one of those things that's kind of weighing on you at all, or is it just another game?
Openers are important. Every game's important. I go back to, again, we're going to prepare as well as we can. What's taking place in the past has no effect on this one. Same thing of playing at home, just because we were pretty successful at home. It has nothing to do with this particular Saturday. We want to win the opener, without question. But then we're going to reload and learn and go back to work on Sunday and go from there.
Looking at the schedule, you talked about wanting to play your best ball at the end of the season, but looking at the schedule, you might have some of your toughest games that first 6 weeks. How quickly do you feel this team can rebound and you can make these adjustments?
Yeah, I think, if you looked off the records from last year, our first six opponents look like that's pretty tough. We'll find out who's the best teams in the league as the season goes. But ultimately, if we play great and all of that, I still want to improve on and play better at the end of the year. And week to week, diving into that opponent, playing a game on Saturday, learning from it on Sunday, and moving on.
How much then, I mean, we're talking with some Boise State writers who really don't seem to be giving Oregon State a whole lot of credit. I don't think the national media is looking at you guys. How much do you like that role of being kind of the underdog and maybe being able to sneak up on people? Or
Yeah.
do you want to have that respect right out the gate?
It can get sticky if you dive into worrying about others' opinions. We're so locked into, what we feel we can do, and we know how hard it is to accomplish what we want. And, living the season through others' opinions, whether it's good or bad, I think it's a slippery slope that we're not diving into.
Jonathan, 5th year in for you. Most of the coaching staff has been here. You recruited just about everybody coming off the bowl game. How much does all that continuity and what you're seeming to build help going into this season?
Well, it definitely helps because we just know the schemes, know each other, coach to player, player to coach. I think there's some real benefit. Obviously, we're not trying to get into some type of complacency and just rhythm and this is what we do without trying to always tweak and grow and do things a little bit differently. It does feel good that we got a full of a roster. A lot of guys have been here multiple years, and that's why I go back to if our process is right, if our development is right, we should be playing better each year, and especially with an experienced group like this.
Coach, we haven't really talked much this fall camp about the kicking game. It's pretty steady. Loescher and Hayes.
Yep.
How are they doing? Are there things you wanted them to work on, or do you just say punt real far and make all your
No, I
extra
think
points?
Luke had a really good fall camp. And I've said it before, not just about how far you kick it, but where you're placing it, how quickly you're getting it out. Actually, I do think Luke was pushed quite a bit by Josh Green. Josh Green had a good camp as well. And I wouldn't be shocked to see Josh get a couple of punts, being a righty at some point. Everett, pretty consistent, got the big leg on kickoff. And I think it helps him as well. Dylan Black back, the holder Loescher for him, so there's some consistency there.
Looking at Boise State, veteran quarterback, solid running back, and a defense that's hoping to make improvements this year. What's just kind of your general read on Boise State, and maybe who are some of the guys that you're trying to scheme around a little bit?
Yeah, well, the quarterback is accurate, tough, doesn't make a bunch of mistakes, stands in there. I do think they got some experience coming back on that O-line with a bunch of guys that have played. And so you got an O-line like that, veteran quarterback who's accurate, physical run game, and they got some explosive players on the outside. So challenge there. Defensively, starts up front, D-line's pretty good, got a player that is making a bunch of plays, 99. And then you look at the back end, they get a couple of secondary players that look like could be draft picks. So they're Andy's always got it going on defense, does a really good job. They got some really good players. And I know there's a serious buy-in on special teams over at that place. And you watch the tape from last year, they made plays on special teams and helped them win some games that way. Okay, thanks, guys.